Welcome back to the Golden State with Mates post-game live after the Warriors get a 109-106 Game 4 victory over the Houston Rockets at Chase Center on Monday night. My face is incredibly red. I feel like I'm sweating. I've still got this mark on my left eye, which I think is just from watching this series and the physicality of the series. I think from my couch, I've just got this mark on my face now. So I don't know. But wow, what a game. So many things to talk about. I don't know how I'm going to possibly get to them all, but we'll try here. First of all, just got to start with Jimmy Butler. Man, what a performance. He was clearly in pain throughout the game. Like, I think we'll look back at the foul that Dylan Brooks had in the corner in the final minute where he was clearly ginger after that. But I thought throughout the entire game, I was like, this was not Jimmy. You could see when there was that play, was it late in the first half where Brooks got out in transition, Jimmy was chasing after him and he was hobbling. Like he was not running with a normal running gait. Let's put it that way. And he hacked Brooks from behind, which turned out to be a good foul because I think Brooks might have missed one or both of the free throws. So it was a good foul, but you could clearly tell from that once Jimmy, got out in transition and was trying to sprint the full length of the floor, he was just no good at all. And yet he fought back, pushed through the pain barrier, and had 11 of Golden State's last 14 points, had 14 points in the fourth quarter in general, had a team-high 27 points for the game in 40 minutes. Man, just Iron Man battling through this. Steve's just said after the game that if this was the regular season, Jimmy would probably be out for another week or two. So the fact that he's been able to push through this, deliver the Warriors a Game 4 victory that now gives them a decisive 3-1 lead in the series, it is massive. It is massive. Man, the pressure, my heart rate in those final minutes there as the teams went back and forth. This entire game, it had everything. It had a bit of a dust up in the first half. Draymond got a technical. Then we, at a point, thought he was going to get ejected for the second altercation that he had with Easton. The refs, I think smartly, because the first technical was pretty BS, they smartly kind of worked around the rules where they're like, well, we should give him a T, but that'd throw him out. And we don't really want to do that because we made a mistake on the first T. So let's give him a flagrant one foul. So by the start of the third quarter, Draymond had 5 fouls, which I'm not even sure how he had 5 fouls. Someone want to tell me how he had 5 fouls. I actually don't know. I saw something on Twitter where he was given 2 in the one play with that Easton incident, which I don't think is legal. I don't know. The facts are Draymond had 5 fouls early in the third quarter, plus a T, plus a flagrant foul, right? So it was all going on. We saw as Arminius has already commented here, TJD siding in the third quarter. Not sure what Steve was cooking with that, but it wasn't great. Let's put it that way. And I tweeted out with about 3 minutes to go, if the Warriors win this game, Steve Kerr looks like a genius because he went to the hacker Adams strategy with about 4 or 5 minutes to go, which forced Adams off the floor even before he took a single free throw attempt. But if the Warriors were going to lose that game, I think we'd look back at the TJD minutes and think, what the hell was going on there? Why didn't you play a straight bat, as we like to call in Australian terms, instead of trying to hit a home run with TJD and trying to get something different out of that? Why didn't you just hit a single and play it safe with Loon? I don't know. Weird one. But man, so many different elements to this game. I'm just going to get through your comments, and I'm sure plenty of stuff will come up here. Podz was absolutely huge. I'm sure there'll be comments on him. Let's get into it. Logan says, Chase Center crowd sucks. Need to get loud to help the team. GG, I saw TJD. What did TJD end up with? That was the most impactless minutes I've seen out of anyone in the entire playoffs. He did nothing. He was not on the floor doing anything. He was out there for 5.5 minutes. He did not score a single point, nor have a single rebound, nor have a single assist, steal, or block. He committed 2 fouls, I think were probably both on Sengun, and sent him to the line, I think, probably both of them. He missed a dunk opportunity where Adams kind of came over and contested, but TJD just missed the dunk, and he was a -3 in 5.5 minutes. It was just so nothing. And maybe that's what you would have got out of Loon as well, but I just don't know that dusting TJD off the shelf for the first time in 3 months in a huge playoff game in the second half. I know you had to do something. Draymond had 5 fouls. I get it. You had to do something, but I just thought that Loon would have been the go there. Man, I wonder what JK thinks. JK was a DNP, which doesn't surprise me, right? It doesn't surprise me in a game where Jimmy's back on the floor and playing 40 minutes. But we saw Trace minutes. We saw Gee minutes for 90 seconds in the first half. Why did Gee just get 90 seconds? It's bizarre. Buddy Hield started over Moses Moody. Moody, less than 12 minutes. I don't know, nearly unplayable now. 1 of 6 from the floor, 1 of 4 from 3-point range, -8 in the game. All of a sudden, it's become the playoffs, and Buddy Hield is a more trustworthy piece than Moses Moody. Were we ever going to say that? I don't know, but it's true. Buddy Hield, 15 points. Didn't actually shoot the ball all that well. Was 6 of 15, 3 of 9. Some of this stuff I'm still like, oh, I don't trust it whatsoever. He's going to make plenty of mistakes. But, hit a couple of clutch threes. His defense early on Jalen Green was excellent. Jalen Green had another just absolute stinker. That's 3 out of 4 in this series. And some of his rebounding and defense early in the third quarter as the Warriors went on an 18-1 run was excellent as well. So, man, I don't know. In terms of the crowd, though, just quickly from Logan, I don't really want to comment on the crowd too much unless you're actually there. It's pretty hard to get a real idea, I think, through a TV screen. I definitely saw it in Game 3 at LCA with the Pistons-Knicks. The Pistons crowd was ridiculously loud in that one. But otherwise, I don't really feel like there's... Maybe I'm just not looking out for it. I'm not looking out for whether or not the crowd's really into the game or not. I'm just analyzing the game more than anything. Should the Warrior fans really be up and about and trying to create that extra 1% of momentum or energy, then yeah, sure, but it's not something that I necessarily look out for. Tired Basketball fan says Steph gave the ball up too easily. He's probably tired, so probably trusted Jimmy instead of going off like last game. He's playing tons of minutes after only playing 32 PGs for 2 seasons, basically. 32 minutes per game for 2 seasons, basically. So Steph goes for 17, 6 of 13, 2 of 8 from 3. Again, was really just not that impactful. Didn't really feel Steph out there at all. Down the stretch, it was all Jimmy except for Steph's last shot in the final, basically 25 seconds there as I look through the play-by-play. Steph had a driving, floating back jump shot, which when it left his hand, I was like, he'll make that easily. He could make that with his eyes closed, and then he missed it, which was kind of a tale of his night. Easton got the rebound, gave the Rockets an opportunity down 1, and then Draymond came up with the clutch defensive stop on Sengun, who had to take his turnaround hook just a little bit deeper than what he probably wanted. I think if Sengun was to look back at that, he'd be like, okay, I need to try and get deeper and try and get a closer shot to the basket. Credit Draymond, forced him a bit further out than what he probably wanted, forced the miss, and then the Pistons, the Rockets were playing they were playing Adams and Eason at that point, or Jabari Smith, I think was, whatever it was a huge bloody lineup, and Jimmy Butler comes in for the clutch rebound, gets fouled by about 4 blokes trying to steal the ball off him, goes to the free throw line, makes a couple of clutch ones, and then Van Vliet's running fadeaway prayer at the buzzer for the game-tying attempted shot came up well short. So clutch Jimmy Butler free throws. That was probably the difference in the game when you look at it. The Warriors were 20 of 22 from the free throw line. Jimmy was 12 of 12, including how many times he gets to the free throw line down the stretch? 7, I think. I'm counting it here. There's 2 at the end in the final 5 seconds. The 3 when he got fouled by Brooks, which was a dumb foul. Dylan Brooks, as Reggie Miller said on the broadcast afterwards, sometimes you just got to let sleeping dogs lie. And he lit a fire under Jimmy Butler, who was relatively quiet in the first half. They got into it at the free throw line late in that first half. And from that point, Jimmy Butler much more aggressive and was certainly out to prove a point. He had 5. Maybe it was just those 5 free throws in the late in the piece there in the final minute. But Butler had a huge 3 at one point, couple of layups, just massive fourth quarter from Jimmy Butler. And really, he and Podz carried a bad Steph game. And I think that's probably the most optimistic thing from a Warrior standpoint is you're probably going to get one bad Steph game every series. And this was it. And if you're the Rockets, you look at this and think, we got a bad Steph game. We got 31 from Sengun, who really took advantage of Draymond being out in the third quarter, really went to work there on TJD post, whoever the Warriors were throwing at him. They had no answer. They got 25 out of Van Vliet. Van Vliet came into the series shooting 20% from 3. He had, what did he end up with in the end? 25 on 8 of 12 3-point shooting, including the game-tying one when it was 104 there, just over a minute to go. So you get 56 points from those two. You keep Steph to 17. You think we're probably going to win this game, and yet you walk out with the L. Warriors again take a decisive 3-1 lead in the series. Sorry, I'm going to try and bang through a heap of comments here. Arminia says TJD siding youngster got his armpits wet for a minute. It was the weirdest rotation minutes I've seen for a while. I know Draymond was on the bench, but I don't know why. Like, that says a lot about Loon, to be honest. Like, Steve's going to TJD in that situation over Loon. VT Vino says, I'm going to need an explanation for that second quarter because I was only able to catch the fourth quarter. The second quarter was not basketball. It was not. It was a combination of rugby and maybe some Australian rules football in there, and just a lot of whistles, a lot of physicality. We saw Draymond get a tee and a flagrant foul within a couple of minutes of each other. We saw Steph get it. I think Slater reported that was the 6th technical foul of Steph Curry's playoff career. Brooks got one as well. They were both kind of taunting each other. Just so much different stuff going on. And then the end of the second quarter is what really hurt the Warriors, because within I think they were up. The game was tied with just under 2 minutes to go. Then there was 5 straight possessions that consisted of 3 Steph turnovers, a couple of which the Rockets got out in transition, a Podz turnover, and then on the final possession, as good as Podz was in the game, I still don't think he should be isolating on the final possession of the half. He did kind of waved off Steph and Jimmy and missed his shot attempt off the isolation possession. So that was just ugly. Rockets finished on a 7-0 run, led 57-50, but of course the Warriors come out 18-1 run to start the third quarter, got themselves back to a 10-point lead, and then from there, the Rockets fought back, and it was just back and forth, and absolutely anyone's game for the remainder. Then Knox says, BP has the potential to be a superstar role player. What's a superstar role player? Interesting. Are we talking like a Drew Holiday? All right, we're going to try that again. The weather at the moment here in my hometown is pretty awful, so I'm not surprised with some of the internet issues. So I was talking about Wiggs as a potential, well, not as a potential, but as a superstar role player. Does Podz reach that? Like, a superstar role player is someone who probably maybe makes 1 or 2 all-star teams in their career, but he's not like a bona fide 5-6-time all-star. I don't know. Then Nick says Steph's too passive when we steal one. Agree with that. Too many times, the ball didn't get back to him. And again, 13 shot attempts. Like, the guys on TNT after the game were talking about Jalen Green only having 8 shot attempts, but like Steph 13 shot attempts, and it felt like he wasn't creating a whole. Like, there's games where Steph only has 13 shot attempts, and yet like he'll have like 9 or 10 assists, and you feel like he's creating everything offensively, even though he's not the one shooting the ball himself. Didn't feel like he was creating a whole lot. Like, he's always going to with his gravity. Like, we get that. But like, he only had, what did he have in this game? 3? Was it 3 assists? Just having a look at it. Yeah, 3 assists. So, and 4 turnovers. So again, not a good Steph game. The Warriors still come out with the dub. Arminius says, basketball gods bless Podz tonight. Well, maybe a bit of the basketball gods said, you know what, game 2, you were sick as a dog. Played 14 minutes. You did well to battle through that. Let's reward you a little bit with a big game 4. And the Warriors certainly needed it. 26 points, from Brandin Podziemski. 9 of 18. Took the most shots on the Warriors. 6 of 11 from 3. 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and a block. That block on Van Vliet in the final few minutes, man, that was a huge play too. So credit Podz. Big game from him. Certainly the best of his short playoff career thus far. We're 4 games in. Then Nick says, can we talk about Podz? Yeah, man. Like, these type of games make you wonder what his kind of potential, where that does lie. And yeah, like, I don't know. We can have a conversation about it. Let me know what you guys think. I know I've been a big fan of Austin Reeves over the second half of this season. And I tell you what, I had a bit of a wry smile on my face when I saw a few Laker fans on X/Twitter saying that, hey, you know what? We might have lost this argument. We might prefer to have Podz over Reeves moving forward here, particularly in playoff basketball, where Reeves has really struggled so far through the first 4 games of the Lakers-Timberwolves series. Thai basketball fan says, earlier Brooks held up 1 at Steph. That was probably in response. The tech was unwarranted, but still Brooks managed to bait them into something the refs can choose to call. Also says, very dumb foul by Brooks on Jimmy, possibly decided the game. Man, not only did he awake the beast inside Jimmy with his kind of chirping and the back and forth there at the end of the first half, but that foul, like, there was absolutely no need for that. Like, Jimmy's not a good 3-point shooter. There's less than 3 seconds on the shot clock. You're right there, like, going to put up a good contest. If Jimmy Butler makes that shot, you just got to say, well played. Like, that is I haven't seen any Rockets fans talking about it yet, but I'm sure I might go and scroll social media or the Rockets Reddit community. I'm sure they'll be getting into Dylan Brooks about that one. The other one that I was disappointed in on the following possession was Butler not leaving Amen Thompson to help on Sengun. So Sengun, who did he have? He had someone on a switch. Was it GP2 or something? It's not going to be able to tell me from the play-by-play. I'm just having a look back here. I think it might have been was it GP2 out on the floor or Podz? I think it might have been GP2, and Sengun kind of sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Sengun spun off him, scored a layup to bring the Rockets back within one, and Jimmy was in the corner guarding Amen Thompson. And to me, I know you're up 3 at that point. You're trying to protect a 3-point lead, and maybe you think, okay, well, I'll just give up the 2 because then we've still got the lead and it's our ball back. But in that situation, if I'm Jimmy, I come over help on that. Make Sengun make the pass to Thompson in the corner. And if Amen Thompson, who shoots, what does Amen Thompson shoot from 3-point? Has he made a 3 in this series? I'm not sure he has. And he was good in this game. He was much better driving to the rim than he was in game 3. Amen Thompson is currently shooting. So in the regular season, he shot 27.5% from deep after 13.8% in his rookie year. And in these playoffs, he has not made one. Yes. As I would have predicted. So in that situation, if I'm Jimmy, I'm helping on Sengun and saying, you make the pass to Amen Thompson. If Amen Thompson's good enough to make his first 3 of the series out of the corner in a clutch situation, be my guest. So I thought that was a mistake from Jimmy, but otherwise, of course, a huge fourth quarter from him. Thai basketball fan says 3-point foul is literally the most efficient play in the game. Man, you just got to, KYP, know your personnel. I've had a couple of times in social league basketball, and dare I say, social league basketball, I reckon the whole league shoots maybe 12% from 3 combined. Like there'd be no person in my social league basketball that shoots above 20% from 3. And yet I think there might have been 3 times in my basketball career down in this social league where my teammates have fouled 3-point shooters and I lose. I'm like, what are you doing? This guy probably shoots 4% from 3 and you're fouling him from the 3-point line. It's wild. Jeffrey says, what do you think about the Cavs? I think they're good, but had an easy series. Yeah, I'm not going to take too much from it. Couldn't have been more impressive, particularly winning the last 2 without Garland. Miami just not good. Not good at all. They've got an awful series from Tyler Hero, pretty awful series from Wiggs. Don't know where Miami are necessarily going to go. They kind of have to hope for the dream trade for KD or Giannis or something like that. Otherwise, it's probably a full teardown required there in South Beach. Thai basketball fan says they gave Draymond a foul. Then after the review, they gave him a flagrant instead of changing it to a flagrant. So he got 2 fouls on the one play, which is that possible? Can you get two fouls on the one play? I know there's 2 separate instances, like where obviously he fouled Easton, like pulling him down or whatever in the transition after he lost the ball. And then they're going to say he kicked Easton. So that's the flagrant. But is that legal? I don't know. I don't know the rules to be able to know that. I'm assuming it obviously is if that's what they've gone with. Empire says Podz are so good. Thai basketball fan says I knew he was only supposed to have 3 at the half, then somehow started the third with 4. Robert says that is a very good match. Geez, when was the last time I heard a basketball game referred to as a match? I call it a match up. Match. I call footy games a match or match cricket or something. I don't know. Anyway, you're right. Regardless, Jim says Buddy was great again. Was he great? I think he was probably great by Buddy's standards, and I think I preferred him in this game than I did actually to game 3. I know he had 2 less points and he shot the ball worse, but much less of him dribbling. And a lot of times, like if he'd get the rebound or the ball would be passed to him after a rebound, there was much less of him dribbling the ball up the floor into traffic and just stopping and just saying, all right, where's Jimmy, where's Steph or Draymond? Let's get them the ball. So I think I was less panicky and less terrified of this Buddy Hield game than I was in game 3, to be honest. And he shot the ball better and had more points in that game. So, and his defense was better, particularly early in the third quarter. Had a few big rebounds. So a good Buddy Hield game, no doubt. Just bizarre that we've got to this point and he's now a more trusted piece than Moses Moody, and he's probably going to start in game 5 as well. You'd think, man, I didn't think I'd be saying that. Berserkmonk says the TJD minutes were unfair to him, to be honest. He hasn't played very much and then gets thrown into defense Sengun, who's in full rhythm and cooking everyone except Dray. I agree with that. I'm not blaming TJD. I'm blaming Steve. Like, it's just a bizarre decision to ask this guy who has basically been out of the rotation for over 3 months to say, all right, come in, guard an all-star caliber center. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect much from him, so I'm not blaming him. But it's just like his performance kind of reiterated the fact that, Steve, what the hell are you doing? Jarmusch says the left cheek bruise contusion got worse from yesterday. You should ice it, mate. Yeah, it's not great. Hopefully it doesn't open up in basketball tonight. It feels fine. It's just a graze. I think I hit the ground at one point. I don't know. It's weird. Fancy Pants says, I've wanted him to play TJD for months, but not at the end of this game. Agree. If you're going to do this, like, you needed to play a bit towards the latter portion of the season, and he didn't. He, played, I think he had a couple of, like, 2 games maybe where he got like a 4 or 5 minute stint, but aside from that, like, he just hasn't been part of the rotation for months. So I'm not surprised with what we saw from him. Empire says, Houston Rockets are the only Rockets NASA don't want. Jummy says, dusting off anyone off the shelves makes no sense, like JK last game and TJD this game. Agree. That's why I went into the playoffs like, okay, we kind of know what the top 9 are. And really, like, you look at a game like this, the Warriors had 6 guys, maybe 7 if you want to include GP2 because he played 16 minutes. But aside from that, Moody was like almost out of it. Again, less than 12 minutes. And it was basically the starters. Buddy Hield played 30 minutes. I don't know if that's sustainable. I don't know if I want Buddy Hield playing 30 minutes in a playoff game moving forward because it's still going to be inconsistent. I know he's had 2 good games in a row, but let's not overreact and say, well, Buddy Hield should be playing 30 minutes every game. Butler played 39. Draymond played 31, even though he sat basically the whole quarter. Podz played 40. Steph played 39. And then you had Post play 20. Some big buckets in the first half from QP. He had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Was a -10, though. Did get bullied a little bit more on the defensive end than what we saw in Game 3. GP2 played 16 minutes, and then Gee randomly played 90 seconds. Looney played 5, and including coming out for 30 seconds just to hack Adams. Moody played less than 12, and TJD played 5:39, while Kuminga was a DNP. So it was basically the starting 5 and QP, and then a bit of GP2 as well. Dan Nick says Dylan Brooks does not grow up. He did the same things in Memphis. The problem is, like, he keeps antagonizing and motivating superstar players. And I like Dylan Brooks. Like, I'd have Dylan Brooks on my team. I think he's a good player. Like, he's good 3-and-D wing. They're valuable, right? But he's not a superstar player. And so when you're a non-superstar and you're antagonizing and basically motivating superstar players and you can't go head-to-head with them from a talent standpoint, and that's the thing to me in this series, is the Warriors are the better team. They've got the best 2 players in the series. They're more talented. They're more experienced. They're the better team. The only time Houston can really match it with them is when there's heaps of physical altercations going on, and really the game just doesn't become about basketball anymore. Like, it becomes a different sport. That's really the only time we saw that in the second quarter. That's basically, to me, maybe again looking at this with a Warrior lens on, but to me, that's the only way Houston can match up with the Warriors in this series. Otherwise, the Warriors are just better. They're more talented. They've got the best 2 players. They're more experienced. Like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see something different over the last 3 games here or however long is left in the series. But that's just how I feel about it. Like, the Rockets basically won 1 quarter in this game. It was the second quarter, and that just didn't feel like a game of basketball to me. Robert says, still waiting for Brooks Diddy defense like he did with LeBron. Monk says, Cavs are not an easy matchup. They're playing incredible, though it's against Miami. I'm not really... Robert says, Cavs v Celtics should be a bit awesome. Should be, yeah. I'm not loving the Celtics at the moment. Like, Jaylen Brown's got a bit of an injury concern. Tatum's got a bit of an injury concern. Series could, like, be tied at 2-2. And shout out former Warrior Corey Joseph, but, like, he's starting for the Magic in a playoff series. And it could be 2-2. Like, I'm not sure that's great news for the Celtics. So, I don't know. They're probably hoping that maybe the Magic can beat them up a little bit more, and maybe the Cavs get to, the Eastern Conference Finals a little bit more rested. But, we've still got the Knicks, right? Like, they could still provide some kind of challenge, I suppose, moving forward. They'll obviously play the Celtics, and then you'd think the Pacers would obviously play the Cavs. Pretty confident in the Cavs winning that. So I don't know. What are the odds at the moment for the East champions at the moment? Because the way it's kind of coming to fruition for Cleveland is, I think, a little bit easier than what it is for Boston, and might allow them to rest up a little bit more and be fresher once those East finals start and arrive, if that's what the matchup is, as most would expect. Berserkman says the way the Celtics have been looking. Sorry, I've now lost it. The way the Celtics have been looking, Cavs have a chance, especially if Drew isn't at 100%, if Porzingis is playing bad. Robert says, unless some miracle happened, Lakers in 7 or 8. 7 or 8? We're going to 8, are we? Jeez, okay. Warriors be facing Minnesota. Let's just hope the Warriors can get one more against Houston first. I don't even want to think about the second round until we finally, I'm not about to count my chickens before they hatch. The Warriors need one more win. FTW Clan says, I thought they should have fouled Van Vliet at half court right at the end to not give him a chance to tie. Potentially, but it's a win-loss result. And if it went in, of course, we'd all be saying that. Fortunately, he wasn't even close, and no one has to talk about it now. So that's the sports industry for you. It's a win-loss industry. Ty Basketball Fan says, the only reason I want to face the Wolves would be the Lakers whistle. Other than that, Wolves are scary. Well, Anthony Edwards, as he's done with LeBron and Luka, Anthony Edwards will go into a series with the Warriors thinking that he's the best player over Steph and Jimmy. How that pans out, we'll wait and see. Again, if it comes to fruition, the Warriors still need to win another game here, as do the Wolves, so I don't want to go too early on that. Berserkmonk says, Cavs role players are hitting insane, tough contested shots. Ty Jerome, DeAndre Hunter will cook any bench units we have if we had to match them in the finals. Okay, let's not get too far ahead to the finals and facing the Cavs again. It would be incredible after meeting them, obviously, a decade ago in 2015 and 16 and 17 and 18 for that matter. But yeah, let's not go that far yet. Robert says Sengun is a menace. Van Vliet got 8 3-point attempts. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm pretty. If Dray doesn't get into foul trouble, I'm pretty content with Dray guarding Sengun, and a lot of his points obviously came in that third quarter, when Draymond was off the floor. So, yeah, again, I think the Rockets would be pretty annoyed with the fact they got 56 combined from Sengun and Van Vliet and lost this game. And Steph only goes for 17. Now, part of Rockets fans could say, well, Podz went for 26. He's not going to do that again. So that kind of offsets it. But yeah, you'd be very disappointed as a Houston fan, no doubt. Empire says, I can't wait for this series to end. I'm tired of seeing Brooks in this series starting to get physical and it's causing too many pauses. I'm just ready to move on to the next series. Yeah, I like to schedule these post-game lives for 3 hours basically after the opening tip. And because of all the timeouts and the stoppages to check on reviews and flagrant fouls and tees and stuff like that, I keep having to push it back by half an hour because the games are going so long. Jeffrey says, Monk, I'm not so worried about the Wolves. They're good, but they don't have elite defense like Houston. Yeah, we'll see what Rudy Gobert does in that matchup again if it comes to fruition. Rudy's been terrible despite the Timberwolves being up 3-1. It's everything 3.5 points and 6.3 rebounds, getting played off the floor. Naz Reid's playing over him late. It'll be a different series, definitely. We'll wait and see. Again, don't want to talk about it too much before both series are actually over. Young Dagger says Draymond even played D on you. No, it was Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks came with a little elbow to my left eye and opened me up a little bit. So good on him. Yep, well played. Hopefully the Warriors can have the last laugh, though, in the series. Ty Basketball Fans says, gave Van Vliet too good of a look. It was a tough shot, but you don't even want them to get up a shot this close to the 3-point line when they had no timeout and only 4 seconds. Fair point. I'm not disagreeing. Logan says, Pod's best game. Maybe, yeah, you could say it's his best game ever, given it's a playoff environment. Absolutely. Berserkman says, I don't know how Wolves series would go. To be honest, we have zero data of our matchups because all the games we played before the Butler trade, I think they were. And the Warriors were, 3-1 or 2-1, whatever it was. So good signs, I guess. But then the Timberwolves were also kind of sucky at the time the two teams met, and they've been much better as the Warriors have been over the second half of the season. So tough to really analyze any of the matchups earlier in the season, as you say. Robert says, playoff Jimmy is not a myth. Not a myth, and doing it while clearly hampered. And it actually makes me think, winning game 5, it just makes... so much of this series makes me think about the 2022 conference semifinals against the Grizzlies, where it's like, well, one Dylan Brooks is playing for both teams, but it's a young team. Actually finished as a higher seed. Well, I think with the Grizzlies a 2 seed in that season. I think young team trying to make a name for themselves, pretty cocky, pretty physical, and you got a similar case with the Rockets right now. And I don't know, it just it just makes me think, yeah, like I want to get through this series and I want to win in 5 because you want the rest. But then again, it makes me, because there's those comparisons with both series. I remember Game 5 on the road in, oh no, was it Game 5? Game 5 on the road in Memphis. Sorry, well, Memphis the high. I think Warriors were higher seed because they won in 6, didn't they? I'm pretty sure that's true. No, jeez, I've got my facts wrong here. I know the Warriors beat the Grizzlies second round 2022, but either way, I think it was Game 5 on the road where the Warriors got blown out by like 40 or whatever. Hope that doesn't happen. Hope that doesn't happen on Wednesday. I'd like the Warriors to close it out because I think Jimmy and Steph, they need some rest here as much as they can. So playing more basketball in the first round is not a beneficial aspect to those guys. Thai basketball fans, Steph has 4 shooting fouls and 9 free throws in this series that are not text intentional, required a challenge for an obvious call. His whistle is bad, but this is next level. What about the one like in the first quarter or the second quarter where he's driving down the lane? Brooks clearly jumps from one point to another, crashes into him, and then blocks the shot. Great block with your hand, but you just clearly got him with body. No call from the ref. It's out off Steph, which is fortunate because the ball went out of bounds. The Warriors could challenge it knowing the ball clearly went off Steph, but there was a proximate foul. They went and challenged it, of course, foul on Brooks. But man, like not calling that, wild. I actually wonder if that was Steph in the corner and Brooks put his hand and gave a slight nudge to Steph in the corner there in the final minute. Does Steph get that call? I'm not sure he does. I really don't think he does, but Jimmy does. Jimmy does. So I don't know. It's a weird one. Then next says, beat the Timberwolves 3-1 without Butler, but now their team seems different. Agree with that. Berserk says, I also think if the Wolves play small, they present a lot of problems for the Warriors because of Naz Reid. Naz Reid, noted Warrior killer, that's for sure. Jeffrey says, Monk, they have good players, but Lakers defense is dog water compared to ours. Agree with that. Berserk Monk says, Naz Reid will either pull Draymond from the paint or that's going to be a shot we would have to concede. Yeah, their ability to play 5 out. I don't know. Would you have Draymond guarding Randall in that situation and he can still help and basically say, well, put the ball in Randall's hands and let him make plays, or let Randall shoot from 3 because I'm assuming he's probably their worst 3-point shooter? I don't know. Again, a long way to go before we get to that point. I'm gonna pass through some of these Timberwolves comments here. Thai basketball fans says huge rebound by Jimmy on the Sengun miss. Went up there with 0 fear as well after what happened on a similar play. Yeah, man, that's a very good point. Like similar play got him that pelvic contusion and hard fall. And there was like 4 Houston guys right there for a putback. Man, that was probably bigger than any of his scoring in the fourth quarter, to be honest. Previn says playing TJD over Loon or Gee made no sense. Well, I don't think Gee was an option because you can ask Gee Sands wants to be a small ball 5. I don't think so. But yeah, TJD over Loon, certainly an interesting choice, that's for sure. Empire said Game 3, no Jimmy. Game 4, a bad Curry game. Rockets had 2 chances and blew up Warriors in 5. Let's hope so. Berserk says Loon was having 0 impact on Sengun all series. Lol. I agree. I'm not saying Looney's been good, but like I think I'd still have more faith in that than asking TJD to come and play genuine second half playoff minutes when he hasn't played for 3 months. Like it's just wild. Berserk Monk says also says every center we have on the roster was fodder for Sengun. Only Draymond bothered him. Yeah, kind of what it is. I think I'd prefer like you got to make a choice. If Draymond's off the floor during with foul trouble, I think if you want to go defense and say we're going to try and make things as difficult for Sengun as possible, then I just think I'd still go with Looney, based really on previous history and his experience. Like that's really the only reason. I think that probably outweighs TJD not playing for 3 months. The other option is you go, okay, well, we're probably not going to stop Sengun, but let's see how many points we can score ourselves with having Post out there. And to be fair, QP played 20 minutes and had 13 points in this game. Tire basketball. Sorry, Robert says every time Buddy dribbles, I get nervous. You're not the only one. You and about 5 million other fans. Tire basketball fan says they might not get away with it against better teams, but that's why we got Jimmy, so Steph could take a game off and basically just be out there for gravity and still have a positive impact that way. Yep. Berserk Monk says I think Steph's thumb was giving him issues. He went full passive in the second half. Daniel says, just joining, but Podz is a player. We've seen something from him now. We've seen something from him in the playoffs. Like, we've seen performances like this from him in a multitude of regular season games over the second half of the year. But this is the first playoff one where it's like, man, this guy was not afraid of the moment, was put up 18 shots, put up 11 threes. Remember, you go back to the offseason where he was talking about, I want to get up 7-8 threes a game. And we were all kind of like, 7 or 8 a game? Well, like, we've got to game 4 of the playoffs. Warriors up 2-1, looking to take a 3-1 lead at home, and Podz puts up 11 threes. Talked it into existence. Thai basketball fan says there will be a game where Buddy plays a lot of minutes and we're all yelling at him the entire time. The reality is such a limited offensive roster. Good point. Daniel says Podz may not ever be an all-star, but games like this make me think he has a place in the NBA for a long time as a high-quality role player with a ceiling above that. Absolutely. Like, you'd be shocked at this point if Brandin Podziemski's out of the league in 12 years. Like, he just looks like a high quality, as you say, a high quality role player for a long time. It's, can you go beyond that? That's the real question. Daniel also says, overall a great win. Warriors now second in odds to win the West. Crazy from a 7th seed and where the season was before Jimmy trade. Man, that is wild. Wow, Warriors and then the Thunder and then the Warriors. 2 favorites to the West. Man, that is crazy. It's like that LeBron meme. I can't believe we're here. Like that meme. Tire basketball fan says, I think the Magic is similar to the Rockets, just making it less about basketball with the gap in talent, which is even worse when they're missing some guys this season. I like the Magic more than I do the Rockets, I think, I don't know. I suppose the Rockets have probably got more young assets and more talented young players. But to me, like, Sengun's really good. I'd probably take Paolo over him, and then I'd definitely take Franz over Jalen Green based on what I've seen from Jalen Green in this series, which is, aside from Game 2 being an absolute disaster. It says Giannis, time with the Bucks is over. We must grab him before Lakers get the Greek freak. Surely the Lakers aren't doing that, but after getting Luka, who knows? Julius Randle isn't cooking Dray like he is Bron and Rui. Good point from Streetcar. Previn says, if the refs don't give him the first tech, we win this by 10. Yep, possibly. A lot of ifs and buts about every game in the playoffs, no doubt about that. Tire basketball sense is not worried about Van Vliet in the big picture, but letting guys get comfortable and then still leaving them open is dangerous against teams with actual shooters. There was a play, I think, in the third quarter where Podz might have came off Van Vliet to double Sengun, which doubling Sengun when he's on fire, scoring the ball, I'm not against, but you got to pick and choose who you're doubling off from. And Podz just doubled off Van Vliet, and Sengun made a simple pass, and Van Vliet hit the 3. And I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, the Rockets, they've always got a non-shooter of sorts on the floor along with Sengun. Like, it's either a Man Thompson or it's Adams or it's like even Tari Eason I'm leaving open. Man, like, there's a lot of non-shooters on this team that you could, double off from. Van Vliet's not the one. That was a stupid play. Robert says, since the refs allow hugging Steph, I wonder if the other teams will also apply the scheme. It's a constant thing, let's be honest. Also says, and Podz is only in his second year. Makes it impressive. Like, we're talking about, like, Kuminga getting DMPs and being unable to make an impact in year 4. And I think we've always often seen JK as, like, the most talented young player on the Warrior roster. Nah, Podz is the numero uno young player on this team now. And he's just shown that he's shown that for a while over the second half of the season, but now 26 points in a playoff game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 of 11 on threes. Huge performance. Previn says, we still have to beat the Rockets one more time, but Rudy won't be on the... Sorry, I wasn't sure if I disconnected or not, but I thought I'd just reload it, so I apologize. Jamie says, Memphis was the highest seed because we won game 1 on their home court. Yep, I remember because Dylan Brooks broke Gary Payton's elbow. I'm still amazed that Gary Payton came back in those playoffs to the finals. I've broke my elbow twice and not sure I would have been coming back that soon, that's for sure. Thai basketball fan was talking about game 5. I think game 5, either the Warriors can win in a close game or they go behind early and they go into not giving a shit mode and lose by a lot. Like, I feel like that's the one of two outcomes, right? Greg says, I think Steph hurt his thumb in that scrum with Brooks. He went back to the locker room after and then lost his dribble twice and off on his touch the rest of the game. Hopefully he can ice that up and rest it up in the next 48 hours. Empire says Adams would be so good for the Warriors. He would be. He's kind of like a better version of Loon at this point. Like, if the Warriors could just like let Loon walk in the offseason and get Adams out of it, that would be a huge upgrade. Very similar style. Again, as you say, like, I think Adams would fit really well into the Warriors with his screen setting. Reasonable passer, great rebounder, obviously the best rebounder off the bench in the NBA, basically. So he'd be huge. I think he might be a free agent. He's going to get more than the minimum, so I'm not sure if the Warriors are really going to be in the market for him. Previn says the rotation for game 5 needs to be Steph, Moody, Podz, Jimmy, Dray, Buddy, Post, GP2, and Loon. Use Loon to air fouls. So Moody's in. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. And then like Gee, TJD, and JK are out. Well, that'd be the normal 9 that I would imagine. 8 fouls, sorry, you said. Yeah. Greg says Adams would be an amazing addition, maybe even better than Cam Johnson. The rebound size to go against other Western Conference bigs and screens so valuable. Yep. And I know he's not Australian, but he's Kiwi. And for those of you that don't know, we in Australia, we love claiming New Zealanders as Australians. We just do it like with desserts, with any kind of food dish, with any kind of celebrity, like Keith Urban. I don't know if you guys listen to Keith Urban. Obviously married to Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman is Australian. Keith Urban is originally from New Zealand, and I'm not sure how many people know that because we as Australians just claim him as Australian. He's got Australian citizenship now, but I think most people probably just see him as Australian. He's not. He's from New Zealand originally. And obviously Steven Adams is from New Zealand. So to have a Kiwi on the Warrior roster would be close enough. Obviously, we've got Taron Armstrong from my home state on a 2-way contract still. Tired basketball fan says Adams is great, but they need a starting center that isn't limited offensively and can play next to Dray in the regular season. Can Post be that? Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure Adams would be a starter for the Warriors in the regular season. I agree with that absolutely. But yeah, maybe you feel a little bit better about starting Post if it means that you could have Adams. Like if you had Adams as backup, maybe you feel a bit better about Post. A bit more insurance there. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Like, does Brook Lopez return to Milwaukee? I mean, Brook Lopez looks pretty washed, but man, him in his like semi-prime or what he's been the last few years for Milwaukee, I think would be excellent on the Warriors. But maybe like they just think, okay, well, Post is a better long-term option. So we'll just, give any minutes we would have potentially given to Brook Lopez to Post, and therefore Lopez is not needed. Greg says Post is not that. He's the smallest playing 7-footer I think I've ever seen. He's strictly a stretch, big catch and shoot. He tried to throw it down on Steven Adams in the second half. Did you not see that? I was excited. I was like, man, he tried to throw it down on him. But otherwise, I agree. Yes, that guy needs to not even work on his 3-point shooting in the offseason. I've seen enough. He can shoot the damn ball at an elite level for a 7-footer. He doesn't even need to work on it. All he needs to do is learn on how to potentially attack a closeout, make a play from there, and just his general finishing around the rim. And I know, like, it's really interesting because it's poor right now. Like, his finishing around the rim isn't good, but it's not. I think I have more upside in it than like TJD. TJD to me has horrible feel around the basket, horrible feel, and will just clank layups off the rim with no touch whatsoever. I think Post, and we've seen a few times on like a few of his floater push shots from just inside the free throw line, I think he actually has some touch and finesse and feel. He just puts himself in horrible positions. Like he got blocked by Adams, emphatically blocked by Adams, I think in the first half, where he drove to the rim and then he showed no ability to be able to like use the rim to protect the shot blocker or use his body to protect the shot blocker. Like he's got nothing of that. When he actually shoots the ball, like I think he's actually got touch and feel in a way TJD doesn't. So maybe that just gives me a little bit more optimism if he can find some feel on actually how to manipulate his body to get a little bit more open on some of these layup attempts, which are contested, but otherwise probably shouldn't be. Previn says, you all claim LOTR too. Who's LOTR? Lord of the Rings? No, I don't think. Sorry, is that? I've never watched Lord of the Rings. Never watched Lord of the Rings. I'm surprised I got that. But no, I don't think we do. I think we'll give New Zealand that one. Well, I know for a fact it's definitely shot in New Zealand, not Australia. So yeah, I don't think we claim that one. Surprised we don't though. Good point. Empire says Rockets wasted Van Vliet first and last good shooting night. Absolutely. Daniel says Poster's a rookie and I'm really impressed with him so far. He showed flashes that he can rebound a little now, and obviously a 7-footer shooter is a game changer. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Impressive rookie. Like he could really end his year now and you'd be very impressed and very optimistic with what he's done in his rookie season. In saying that, the Warriors still need something out of him across the rest of the postseason. Thai basketball fan says Lopez's best days are past him. Would you even take him over Post right now? Exactly. That's kind of my point. The Warriors probably be like, nah, it's like Vucevic. It's like, well, why would we trade for Vucevic and give up assets and pay a guy $20 million when we've got a guy who might be slightly worse in the short term, but we think can probably be better in the long term. So we might as well give those minutes to him. Probably the same with Lopez. Greg says he did. It's true in terms of the Post trying to throw down on Adams. That surprised me, but it's few and far between. Thai basketball fan says they don't even have to get an elite offensive center. Just someone who can defend and finish would go a very long way. I think they need to be able to shoot. I think the days of having Draymond and another non-shooter out there, particularly with Jimmy, it's not going to work. So to me, I would probably, if I was thinking about my starting lineup for next season, I would, you know what? I'd probably try and get my hands and this is without an absolute ridiculous trade for Giannis or KD, right? And I don't know why I'm even talking about this when we've got a whole offseason to talk about it and we've just gone up 3-1 in the playoffs. But I think ideally the best realistic option might be Cam Johnson. If you could kind of flip Cam Johnson into if you could kind of flip Kuminga into Cam Johnson, and at this point his value's plummeted to a point where it's probably you need a first round pick or whatever thrown in there on the Warriors side. But if you could do that and you could have a starting lineup of Steph, Jimmy, Cam Johnson, Draymond, and Post, or if you look for another shooting big in free agency, I don't know, but that would kind of be my five because that's got a lot of size about it. Again, Steph, Jimmy at the 2, Cam Johnson at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and a shooting 5. I think there's enough shooting on the floor, and then you have Jimmy and Draymond as your 2. I just don't think you can have Jimmy, Draymond, and another questionable shooter, which is probably why Buddy's playing so much right now. Previn says it's much easier to teach low post moves than to teach TJD how to shoot, so Post is usable. Agree with that. Empire says I don't think Post have the energy to shoot good and rebound at the same time. I think each game will probably be a good shooting game or a good rebounding game. Yeah, his motor's probably not there. He's a first-year rookie. I'm very optimistic about what he can become in the NBA. Thai basketball fan says, to be fair, the Vucevic talks were mostly before and during the time Post cracked the rotation. I don't think anyone wants him now, lol. Just an absolute disaster from Chicago. I'm sure the Warriors probably had a deal on the table for Vucevic for a very long time, and the Bulls were no, we want more. And now Vucevic had an absolute nightmare playing tournament, and I don't know who's giving up anything of value for him in the offseason. I know he's on an expiring contract now, but just another disaster. Not the first time Chicago have just turned down a deal and remain patient thinking they're going to get more, and they just don't. And then it's not a good franchise, that one. Not in the last 25 years anyway. Greg says, watch Lord of the Rings. You'll thank me later. I'm a Harry Potter man. I'm Harry Potter obsessed. That's me. I think you got to be one or the other. I think you got to be Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. It's not both, and I'm Harry Potter all day. Previn says Cam Johnson is the perfect wing for our lineup with Steph, Podz, Jimmy, and Dray. Oh, how have I forgot about Podz as a starter next season? I've just gone Steph, Jimmy, Cam Johnson, Draymond, and a big. Podz, he's just scored 26 points in a playoff game, and I'm relegating him to the bench for the start of next season. No. Okay. I don't know what you do then. Is it Dray back to the bench? Because I'm not sure you can go, you could say, oh, well, let's have Steph, Podz, Jimmy, Cam Johnson, and Dray, but I just don't want Draymond starting at center for a full regular season. So I don't know. Thai basketball fan says that's exactly the type of stuff he can improve on, but you're right that right now it seems to be a struggle. That's in regards to post. Daniel says, I really hope we can close this in 5 and Lakers Wolves go 7. Any bit of rest is going to be critical for a deeper run. Absolutely. Greg says you don't on both. You get into both Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. It's probably time to finish it up. We're talking about movie franchises now rather than basketball, but I enjoy it nonetheless. Previn says, I'm certain that Cam Johnson and Kuminga were part of the Schroeder trade. Yes, but at that point, like, it was difficult to match salaries because it probably would have had to include Wiggins. And then, of course, Wiggins couldn't have been traded for Butler. Now in the offseason, you can say, well, the Nets, sign Kuminga to about 20 million, which is what Cam Johnson's on. And you could try and do it that way rather than Kuminga obviously only being on like 7.6 million this season. Previn says, I'm a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter fan. It can be all done. I watch too much sport to be really getting into movie franchises in a big way. I just watch too much sport. But I was reading Harry Potter books as a kid, and huge Harry Potter fan. Although I'm not happy with the remake that they're doing at the moment with the TV series. That's I'm not. I want them to do. I want them to do something else in terms of, like, obviously they've done Fantastic Beasts. I've watched the Fantastic Beasts films, but I'm like not a huge fan. I'd prefer them to go back and say, do something with the founding fathers, the founders of Hogwarts. Like, go and focus on something to do with like the 4 of them: Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, and Ravenclaw. Like, do something along those lines, or do something with, when James Potter, Lupin, Sirius Black, Snape were all kids. Like, do something like that. Don't do a remake of the movies into a TV series. I'll watch it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Greg says Podz is a great 6-man if we get Cam. Yeah, but it would be an undeserved relegation back to the bench. Don't know. Thai basketball fan says Draymond off the bench is actually a good way to preserve him if they have Cam and a solid starting 5. Drake can close with small ball still. Agree. I think that would be the ideal result. Greg says if we got Adams and Cam, that would be a chip level roster. We can afford 3 non-shooting starters with Steph and Cam. Yeah, not sure about it. Maybe in the I don't know. Empire says off topic, but I'm calling it now. OKC second round exit. Last year they faced Pelicans first round and lost to Mavs, and this year they faced Grizzlies. They haven't beaten a good team in the playoffs yet. Well, I'm interested to see what would have happened if Lou Dort didn't injure Ja. Like, probably Memphis would have won game 3. Who knows? I'm sure the Thunder would have still pushed on and made the second round. No doubt about that. But Clippers Nuggets, that's not going to be easy. Previn says, I watch NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, EPL, and all these movie franchises. I just never sleep. Lol. Do you know what I'm watching right now that in terms of TV series that I just always go to bed with on? Criminal Minds. I've started again from season 1. Criminal Minds. That's my go-to at the moment. That's not sports related. FTW Clan says, I'm Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. Previn says, big agree on founders of Hogwarts. Yep, they need to do that. Previn says, we better hope the Thunder get past the Clippers. Yeah, I don't know if you're the Warriors, you might prefer to face the Thunder in the West finals before the Clippers, but we're getting way too ahead of ourselves. Greg says, because Adams gets O-board and screens, if they double Steph in a PNR, he can kick to Cam, plus Jimmy is still a scorer. Yeah, the way that Adams can be effective without being really any type of scoring threat, or obviously he's not a shooter, like I don't know. It might be funny coming from a Warrior fan, but I think he gets away with a lot of holds, right? And opposition fans will say, you can't say as a Warrior fan, you've been doing it for a decade, right? On illegal screens and holds and all this stuff. But I feel like Adams, he probably gets away with it a little bit, but if you can, then like, good on you. Like, and he's a very impactful player despite being an offensively limited player. Thai basketball fan says if Pod starts and keeps up his shooting, that's 3 shooters. Yeah, but who's the other guy? So it's Steph. I don't know. I'm putting Cam Johnson in the equation. Anyway, we're being up for nearly an hour here. There's plenty of time in the offseason to talk about what the Warriors should do. We're still trying to win. We're still trying to win a championship. As someone said before, Warriors are second favorite in the West right now. Previn said, still can't believe Jimmy didn't get a flagrant foul on that Brooks one. It looked in real time, it looked like he just hacked him hard and that, that's going to go to review and be a flagrant. But when you looked at the actually, he actually just got him on the arm, like it was fine. So, I don't think that was a flagrant. Empire says it would be great if the Lakers go to 7 and win because they would be too gassed to beat the Warriors. Agree with that. All right. I'm going to finish it up there, guys. Daniel says we need Larry Markin. Is it possible to match JK's salaries and just throw picks at the Jazz? Not unless the Jazz want to give like JK 30 plus million because Markinen's on like 43 million now or whatever. I'm going to finish it up there, guys. Been going for nearly an hour. Thank you very much to all of you that have come in and commented. I know it's late for you guys in America, probably past midnight now or whatever. So I appreciate it really quite a lot. I've got to go and do a little bit of writing, and then I play Social League. It's currently just gone 4:30, and I play Social League at 7 o'clock. So 2.5 hours till game time. I'll try and take some motivation from what the Warriors did, the good stuff anyway. I don't know. I might probably stick away from Draymond having 5 fouls of tea and a flagrant by early in the third quarter. But I'll let you know how I go on the next post-game live, which will, of course, be after Wednesday night's game back in Houston for Game 5. Let's hope the Warriors can close it out. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that'd be greatly appreciated. Follow me at POC252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. Thanks to those of you that have watched on replay or listening via your podcast feed.